True freedom, mastery over time, money, today. I want to speak to you about a concept that many dream of, a reality some achieve, and a privilege too few truly understand. Freedom. But not just any kind of freedom. I'm talking about a deeper, more personal kind, the freedom to control how you spend your time, your money, and your space. Imagine that. Complete autonomy over your schedule, your finances, and the environment you live in. That's not just freedom, that's empowerment. Let's start with time, our most finite and precious resource. No matter who you are, a billionaire, a student, a CEO, or a retiree, we all get the same 24 hours in a day. What sets people apart isn't how much time they have, but how much control they have over it. Think about it. Most people trade their time for money, working long hours, often in jobs they don't love, simply to pay the bill. That's not freedom. That's survival. But the person who has freedom over time, that person wakes up without an alarm clock, spends time with family or travels the world, not because it's a holiday, but because they can. They create their own schedule, do work they love, and live on their own terms. That's true power. Now let's talk about money. Money is often misunderstood. It's not evil, it's not everything, but it is important because money buys freedom, not just possessions. It buys the ability to say no to things that don't serve you and yes to opportunities that align with your values. A person with financial freedom doesn't fear a medical emergency, doesn't worry about bills, and certainly doesn't stay in toxic environments just to get a paycheck. He chooses what to invest in, where to donate, what lifestyle to maintain, and all without guilt or pressure. That's not being rich. That's being free. And then there's space, your physical environment. This includes your home, your workplace, your community. Imagine living in a space that inspires you, one that's designed for your comfort and peace, not crammed into a place you barely tolerate because it's all you can afford, or surrounded by noise and chaos. Freedom over space means choosing where you want to live, whether that's a cabin in the woods, a high-rise in the city, or a beach house somewhere warm. It means being able to move freely, to travel, to explore, and to retreat when needed. It means having a sanctuary that reflects your soul. Now let's bring it all together. Imagine a man, we'll call him Alex. Alex has designed a life that allows him to spend mornings surfing, afternoons working on passion projects, and evenings with his family. He has built multiple streams of income that flow whether he works or not. He travels when he wants to, lives in places that spark joy, and never needs to ask for permission to take a break. That's not just a lifestyle. That's a philosophy. That's someone who has mastered the art of living freely. But here's the truth. This kind of freedom doesn't happen by accident. It's not handed out like a lottery ticket. It's built brick by brick with intention, discipline, and sometimes sacrifice. Freedom requires responsibility. It asks you to take ownership of your choices, to be wise with your time, strategic with your money, and mindful of your space. Ask yourself, how much of your day is truly yours? How often do you feel financially trapped? Do your surroundings inspire or drain you? Freedom starts with awareness. Maybe right now you don't have control over everything. That's okay. What matters is that you start taking back pieces of your autonomy. Maybe by waking up 30 minutes earlier for something you love, budgeting better to eliminate debt, or decluttering your space to make it more peaceful. Every small step toward freedom matters. And let's not forget, freedom isn't just for the elite. It's not reserved for tech moguls or digital nomads. It's for you. It's for anyone willing to claim it. With the internet, remote work, digital entrepreneurship, and access to global resources, we have more opportunity than ever to create freedom in our lives. Still, there are barriers. Some are systemic, some are personal. But history has shown us time and again, from revolutionaries to entrepreneurs to artists, that people who are determined to live freely will always find a way. Let's also understand that freedom doesn't mean isolation or selfishness. In fact, the most fulfilled people use their freedom to help others. They build communities, they share knowledge, they uplift those around them. Because when you're not trapped by your schedule, your bills, or your environment, you have the mental and emotional capacity to give, to truly be present. So, what can we take from this? That real freedom is three-dimensional. It spans across time, money, and space. It's holistic, It's personal, and it's powerful. A man who controls how he spends his hours, where he puts his dollars, and the space he calls home is not just rich, he is free. And that freedom? That's worth striving for. In conclusion, let's remember that freedom isn't about escaping responsibility. It's about owning your life so completely that you get to choose your responsibilities. It's about designing a life so aligned with your values that every day feels like a choice, not a chore. So I ask you, what does freedom look like for you? And what are you doing today to move closer to title? The strength of self-reliance. Ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today on a topic that often goes unnoticed, yet plays a crucial role in shaping strong individuals and resilient societies: independence. Specifically, I want to talk about a kind of independence that's deeply personal and powerful. The kind where a man, through life's challenges, learns to rely on himself for everything: cooking, cleaning, decision-making, and more. Let me start by painting a picture. Imagine a man standing alone in his small apartment. There's no one to cook dinner for him, no one to wash his clothes or tidy the living room, and certainly no one to make his decisions for him. It's not that he's lonely, it's not that he doesn't want support, it's that through the twists and turns of life, he has come to know one truth very intimately: if you want something done, you better know how to do it yourself. This man might be a bachelor, he might be a father, he might be someone who has lost people close to him, or maybe he's just chosen a path where solitude has become his companion. But whatever his story, one thing is certain: his independence is his strength. Now let's talk about what it really means to be independent in today's world. We often celebrate independence on a national level. We wave flags, we sing anthems, we talk about freedom. But personal independence is just as worthy of celebration. It's about responsibility, it's about ownership of one's life, and it's about building a life where you are not helpless or dependent, but capable and resilient. This man we're talking about, he cooks his own meals. And no, not just instant noodles or fast food. He knows how to feed himself. He understands nutrition, enjoys flavors, and has learned that cooking is not a chore, it's a form of self-love. In the kitchen, he doesn't just prepare food, he builds a relationship with himself. That sizzling sound in the pan, the aroma of spices, the satisfaction of plating a meal, these are reminders that he can take care of his needs. He cleans his space. Why? Not just because it's hygienic, but because it reflects his mindset. A clean environment is a clean mind. There's no one telling him to make his bed, vacuum the floor, or do the dishes. He does it because he respects himself enough to live in order, not chaos. Every action says, I care about my well-being. And perhaps most importantly, he makes his own decisions, big or small. Whether it's about his career, relationships, finances, or personal growth, he thinks, evaluates, and chooses for himself. That doesn't mean he doesn't ask for advice or consider others' perspectives. It means he takes ultimate responsibility for the direction of his life. There's a quiet power in that. When you know that the path you're on was chosen by you and not pushed onto you, you walk it with your head held high. But let's not sugarcoat it. Independence is not always easy. It can be lonely. It can be overwhelming. When the sink is full of dishes, when the fridge is empty, when life throws a curveball and there's no one to catch it for you, it's tempting to wish for someone else to carry the load. But that's when character is built. In those moments, the man learns discipline, patience, problem solving, and self-respect. Independence is not about isolation. It's not about shutting people out. It's about knowing that even if no one is there, you will still be okay. It's about developing the skills, mindset, and confidence to stand on your own 2 feet. And in a world that often encourages dependence on others for emotional support, on services for convenience, on technology for basic tasks, being self-reliant is an act of quiet rebellion. It's saying, I will not outsource my life. Let's talk about the impact this kind of independence can have, not just on the man himself, but on those around him. When a person is self-reliant, they become a source of strength for others. They're not a burden, they're a support system. They can offer help without expecting anything in return. They can lead by example, inspire confidence, and show others that it's possible to build a fulfilling life without leaning too heavily on others. For young boys growing up without role models, seeing a man who can cook, clean, and make thoughtful decisions can be life-changing. It breaks outdated stereotypes. It shows that masculinity isn't about dominance. It's about discipline, responsibility, and self-mastery. For partners and families, an independent man brings stability. He doesn't demand, he contributes. He knows how to take care of himself, and as a result, he's better equipped to care for others. And for society at large, individuals who are self-reliant reduce strain on systems, inspire innovation, and model what it means to be a responsible citizen. Now you might ask, how does one become this kind of independent person? The answer lies in small, consistent actions. Start by learning basic life skills, how to cook a meal, fix a leaky faucet, budget your finances. Practice making decisions, even small ones, without always asking for validation. Set routines, hold yourself accountable, face challenges head-on instead of running from them. And most importantly, treat yourself with respect, because the foundation of independence is self-respect. Let me end with this thought. Independence isn't about being alone. It's about being enough. Enough for yourself, strong enough to handle life's storms, wise enough to make your own path, humble enough to keep growing, and generous enough to lift others up, not because you need to, but because you can. To the man who does it all himself, not for praise, not for recognition, but because he knows it's the right thing to do, I salute you. Your quiet strength is the backbone of society. May your independence continue to inspire, uplift, and empower those around you. Ladies and gentlemen, today, I want to talk about two experiences that every human being encounters at some point in life: solitude and loneliness. Though they may seem similar on the surface, both involving being alone, they differ greatly in their emotional resonance and personal significance. Let me begin with a quote by Paul Tillich. Language has created the word loneliness to express the pain of being alone, and the word solitude to express the glory of being alone. These words encapsulate the very essence of what I want to explore with you today. Solitude and loneliness, a matter of choice and emotion. Solitude is a state of being alone by choice. It is peaceful, calming, and often desired. It allows the mind to rest, reflect, and rejuvenate. Loneliness, on the other hand, is the pain of being alone, not by choice, but by circumstance. It is not the absence of people. Rather, it is the absence of connection. You see, a man may enjoy solitude. He may sit by a quiet river, walk through a forest, or read a book late into the night, completely alone but deeply content. In that solitude, he finds himself. He hears his thoughts more clearly, feels his emotions more deeply, and nurtures his creativity. He is not lonely. He is connected to himself, to nature, to something greater than his surroundings. But that same man may also occasionally feel the sting of loneliness, perhaps after a celebration where he felt invisible, or when he hears laughter that isn't his, or on nights when the silence of his room echoes too loudly. It's a sting, a yearning, a reminder that we are social beings, that even the strongest minds crave connection. The thin line between the two, the difference between solitude and loneliness, is not always obvious. It is a thin line, easily crossed. Solitude can transform into loneliness if it stretches too long or occurs at a time when connection is desperately needed. A peaceful evening alone may feel like solitude one day and unbearable isolation the next. It all depends on the state of the heart and the mind. Consider artists, writers, and thinkers. People who often embrace solitude. They isolate themselves not out of sadness, but to create. Solitude is their companion, not their burden. Yet even they, from time to time, speak of a creeping loneliness, a need for shared understanding, for someone to listen, to care, to simply be there. The importance of solitude. Solitude is vital. In a world that never stops talking, where notifications buzz every second, where we are constantly connected, solitude offers a sacred silence. It gives us the space to think deeply, to understand our desires, to evaluate our decisions. It is in solitude that we learn who we are when no one is watching. For mental health, solitude is therapeutic. It reduces stress, improves concentration, and builds emotional resilience. It helps us find clarity amidst chaos. We become better listeners, better partners, better individuals, because we took the time to listen to ourselves. The reality of loneliness, it is a growing issue in today's hyper-connected world. Ironically, while we are always online, many of us feel more disconnected than ever. Studies show that chronic loneliness can lead to depression, anxiety, and even physical health issues like heart disease. Loneliness is not about how many people you're surrounded by, it's about how many truly see you, know you, understand you. One can feel utterly lonely in a crowded room and completely at peace in an empty one. It's also important to understand that loneliness is not a weakness. It is a signal, a natural human emotion telling us something essential is missing, real connection. Ignoring it, suppressing it, or pretending it doesn't exist only deepens its roots. He may enjoy solitude. Now let's return to the phrase that inspired this speech. He may enjoy solitude or occasionally feel the sting of loneliness, that he could be any of us. A young man finding his way in the world, a father balancing responsibilities, a widower remembering lost love, a teenager exploring who he is. All of them may seek solitude, to think, to rest, to escape, and all of them, despite their strength, may sometimes feel lonely, aching for warmth, for connection, for understanding. And that's okay. We must allow ourselves to experience both, to know that solitude is not selfish and that loneliness is not shameful. The goal is not to avoid being alone, but to find peace in it. And when loneliness does strike, to reach out to a friend, a loved one, or even a stranger. Bridging the gap connection in a lonely world. So how do we bridge the gap between solitude and loneliness? How do we savor the beauty of being alone without sinking into despair? First, we cultivate self-awareness. We check in with ourselves regularly. Are we choosing solitude or are we drifting into loneliness? Are we nourishing our spirit or isolating it? Second, we stay connected, not just through texts or likes, but through real, meaningful conversations. Even brief interactions, a shared smile, a kind word, a heartfelt message can light the darkness of loneliness. Third, we foster community. Create spaces where people feel seen and heard. Be someone who listens, who notices, who cares. And finally, we give ourselves grace. It's okay to feel lonely. It's okay to not have it all figured out. Just don't stay silent in your struggle. There is always someone who understands, often more than you think. In conclusion, solitude and loneliness are two sides of the same coin. One enriches the soul, the other aches for connection. And while a man may enjoy solitude, he is not immune to the sting of loneliness. That is the complexity of being human. Let us learn to honor our need for both solitude and connection. Let us be kind to ourselves and to those around us. And let us remember, whether in the quiet of solitude or the ache of loneliness, we are never truly alone. The power of self-discipline in daily life. Ladies and gentlemen, to all of you. Today, I want to talk about something that affects every one of us every single day. Something that determines how successful we are, how healthy we feel, and even how peaceful our minds can be. I want to talk about self-discipline and how our daily routines, from our work responsibilities to our personal care, depend not on external forces, but on our own motivation. Self-discipline is often described as the ability to control one's emotions, behaviors, and desires in the face of external demands to achieve a greater goal. But in real life, it's not always about fighting temptation. More often, it's about showing up, day in and day out, even when no one is watching, and especially when it's hard. Let's think about the basics of our day. Who wakes you up in the morning? Who tells you to brush your teeth, take a shower, eat a healthy breakfast, or go to the gym? Chances are the answer is no one. These are not dramatic moments of decision. They are small, quiet acts. But these simple actions shape the structure of your day and ultimately the shape of your life. That's the core truth. Your daily routines reflect your self-discipline. Your habits, your schedule are a mirror. If your routine is chaotic, inconsistent, or reactive, it likely means your self-discipline needs work. On the other hand, when you wake up with purpose, stick to a schedule, prioritize your work, care for your body and mind, you are exercising one of the most powerful tools in your possession, your own will. Work life and self-discipline. Let's talk about work. We often admire people who are successful in their careers. We look at CEOs, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, and wonder, how do they do it? Most of the time, the answer is simple: discipline. It's not that successful people are more talented than everyone else. It's that they work even when they don't feel like it. They meet deadlines even when no one is pushing them. They read, study, train, and prepare even when no reward is in sight. They know that discipline is more important than motivation, because here's the truth. Motivation comes and goes. You might wake up feeling inspired one day, but the next day you feel tired, lazy, or distracted. Discipline doesn't rely on feelings. It doesn't ask whether you feel like working today. It just says, do it anyway. When you make a habit of doing your work, even without motivation, you train your brain. You turn discipline into a lifestyle, not just an emergency reaction. And over time, you build something far more valuable than any one day of effort: consistency, personal care, and self-discipline. Now let's shift to personal care. This is where self-discipline quietly defines the quality of our lives. Think about things like exercising regularly, eating well, getting enough sleep, keeping your living space clean, managing your mental health, spending time with loved ones. These don't just happen automatically. No one will force you to drink water instead of soda. No one will scold you if you skip a workout. You won't get punished if you stay up late scrolling your phone. But over time, these small choices stack up, and eventually your body and mind will reflect them. For better or worse, self-discipline in personal care is about self-respect. When you take the time to take care of yourself, you're saying, I matter, my health matters, my peace matters. You're investing in a future version of yourself, one who is stronger, happier, and more in control. And again, it doesn't take huge, heroic acts. You don't have to run a marathon. Just take the stairs. Don't aim for a perfect diet. Just make one better choice today. You don't need to meditate for an hour. Just 5 minutes of quiet breathing is a win. The key is to show up consistently, even if imperfectly. Self-discipline isn't about being flawless. It's about being committed. Where does motivation come from? At this point, you might wonder, if discipline is so important, where does motivation fit in? Here's the good news. Discipline and motivation work together. Discipline gets you started and keeps you going. But as you begin to see the results of your efforts, motivation starts to grow. When you notice your body getting stronger, your mind becoming calmer, your productivity increasing, you'll feel more excited to keep going. That's where motivation kicks in. But it's discipline that gets you through the days when motivation is absent. So how do we build self-discipline? Set clear goals. Know what you're working toward. Don't be vague. Define your goals. Whether it's writing a book, losing weight, saving money, or improving your mental health, clarity gives you direction. Break it down. Big goals are intimidating. Break them into small, manageable steps. Want to exercise more? Start with 10 minutes a day. Want to write every day? Start with 1 paragraph. The smaller the step, the easier it is to stay consistent. Create routines. Routines remove the need for constant decision-making. When you have a set time for exercise, work, and relaxation, you reduce friction and make good habits automatic. Remove temptations. Make it easier to stay disciplined by reducing distractions. Put your phone away while working. Keep healthy snacks visible. Prepare your gym clothes the night before. Track your progress. When you track your habits, you stay accountable. Even a simple checklist can give you a visual reminder of how far you've come. Be kind to yourself. You will slip up. You'll have bad days. That's okay. Self-discipline isn't about perfection. It's about bouncing back and staying committed in the long run. Closing thoughts. In closing, remember this. The most successful, fulfilled, and healthy people you admire are not powered by endless motivation. They are powered by habits, discipline, and a deep commitment to show up, even when they don't feel like it. Your daily routines, from the way you begin your morning to the way you treat your body to how you handle your work, all depend on one thing: your own motivation, not someone else's, not a boss, not a parent, not a coach. You are in charge. So take ownership. Build routines that serve your goals. Care for your mind and body like someone you love. Show up every day with discipline and trust that the motivation will follow. Unfiltered hobbies he can fully indulge in personal interests without compromise. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever witnessed someone so lost in their passion that the world seems to fade away around them? That intense focus, that joy, that fire in the eyes, it's a magical thing to see. Today, I want to speak about something incredibly powerful and profoundly human: the idea of unfiltered hobbies. The ability to fully indulge in personal interests without compromise. We all have hobbies, from painting to photography, from gaming to gardening, from tinkering with old cars to collecting vintage vinyl. Hobbies are those activities that bring joy, peace, and meaning to our lives. But how often do we actually allow ourselves or others the freedom to pursue them without filters, without guilt, without compromise? Let's focus on a man, any man really, who has finally carved out that sacred space in his life where he no longer negotiates his passions away. He no longer says maybe later, or I shouldn't. He says, yes, this is for me. And in doing so, he steps into a version of himself that is more complete, more joyful, and more alive. Why do hobbies matter? They aren't just pastimes. They're expressions of identity. They are extensions of creativity, curiosity, and desire. When a man indulges in his hobbies, he is not escaping life, he is embracing it. Whether he's building models, brewing craft beer, playing guitar, coding open source software, or hiking mountain trails, he's in his element. He's in his zone. But what often happens, life happens. Responsibilities pile up. Careers demand our attention. Relationships come with expectations. Social norms try to box us in. And slowly, piece by piece, the time and space we once gave to our passions get crowded out. And then one day, many of us wake up feeling unfulfilled. We might be successful on paper, we might be loved and respected, but something is missing. That's when the power of unfiltered hobbies comes in, not just as a pastime, but as a reclamation of self. Unfiltered means unapologetic. It means engaging in a hobby not for validation, not for income, not for Instagram likes, but purely for joy. It means playing video games for hours without guilt. It means restoring motorcycles in the garage because it brings peace. It means painting abstract art even if no one understands it. It means reading comic books, not because they're trendy, but because they speak to your soul. This freedom, this lack of compromise, isn't selfish. It's essential. Because when we allow someone or ourselves the space to pursue personal interests fully, we give birth to creativity, confidence, and connection. Creativity thrives when we're unfiltered. When we engage in something we truly love, we innovate, we experiment, we push boundaries. A man in his element is a man who can change the world around him because he knows how to access the joy within. Confidence is born out of doing what we love without apology. Think about it. There's a difference between someone who hides their hobbies and someone who owns them. One says, it's just a silly thing I do, while the other says, this is who I am. The latter stands taller, smiles wider, and lives freer. Connection is nurtured through shared passion. When we live authentically through our interests, we find others who resonate with our passions. Communities are born. Friendships are deepened. Partnerships become stronger when each person feels seen and supported in their pursuits. Now, I want to speak to the men specifically because often society teaches men to suppress, to filter, to be practical, to grow up. There's pressure to be providers, protectors, achievers, and while those roles have their place, they often come at the cost of creative expression and emotional fulfillment. But here's the truth. A man who is fully immersed in his interests is not less responsible, he is more complete. He is more grounded. He brings more to the table to his family, to his work, to his community, because he is operating from a place of joy and alignment. We need to normalize that. We need to normalize men having hobbies that they take seriously, or not seriously at all, but that they love. We need to normalize joy that is not tied to productivity. We need to support each other in saying, you love this, then do it. Do it fully, because unfiltered hobbies are a form of self-care. They are therapy, they are celebration, they are rebellion in the best way. Against monotony, against burnout, against conformity, they are declarations of identity. To the man who plays Dungeons and Dragons every weekend, keep playing. To the man who surfs at sunrise, even if it means waking up at 4 a.m, keep surfing. To the man who builds Lego cities in his basement, build the empire. To the man who dances, bakes, sculpts, codes, writes, or even just collects things that make his heart happy, don't stop. Don't apologize. Don't explain. Just do it. Let this be a reminder that life is not just about duties and deadlines, it is also about dreams. Not just about careers and calendars, but about curiosity. It is about saying yes to the things that bring you alive, not someday, but today. So let us celebrate the man who has embraced his hobbies without compromise. He is not avoiding responsibility, he is embodying authenticity. He is not immature, he is imaginative. He is not escaping reality, he is enriching it. And let us all, men and women alike, encourage that in each other. Let us create spaces where unfiltered passion is welcomed, not questioned. Let us be the kind of people who say, "You love that? Go all in." Because when we indulge in our hobbies without compromise, we do more than just pass the time, we feed the soul. Compromise. He is not avoiding responsibility, he is embodying authenticity. He is not immature, he is imaginative. He is not escaping reality, he is enriching it. And let us all, men and women alike, encourage that in each other. Let us create spaces where unfiltered passion is welcomed, not questioned. Let us be the kind of people who say, "You love that? Go all in." Because when we indulge in our hobbies without compromise, we do more than just pass the time, we feed the soul.